This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the afternoon show presented by ESEN. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez and Jay McLovin. How's it going, guys?
Well, I will tell you this. Apparently, I must really have pissed off Facebook because usually when I share things and I get banned for oversharing, I guess, whatever, they give me a return date. Like X day, you can come back. Well, they haven't given me no damn return date. And I tried to share a minute ago, said could not post. So apparently, I've been purgatory for, I guess, a hot minute because I have no return date. So, Mark Zuckerberg, I got to tell you, man, this one's for you, baby. You got me. Man. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. Other than I got everything freezing up over here.
Welcome to technology. Hey, listen, my cow turns left, I go right. You know what I'm saying? That antenna only points one way. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if my internet is good to go. And that's the crappy thing. Living out in the forest or the state park or whatever this is around us, you only get one provider, AT&T, and I don't really know. I guess I'm gonna have to reach out to some more people that are smarter than I am to figure out how to resolve it. But sometimes I'll get good internet, and sometimes I'll get that internet that kind of goes left, goes right, goes left, like it was, I guess, a couple of days ago. I don't know. We'll see what's up. But AT&T, you're kicking ass.
Well, guys, what do you think about what happened last night with Juju Watkins getting injured and going to be done for the season? And I don't know. Do you think she'll be back for the start of the next college season?
Oh. Well, I mean, I think it all depends on how good of a healer she is. Honestly, everybody's body works differently. Some people can come back, next season, no problems, whatever, rehab, and then of course, there's always setbacks, possible re-tears in your recovery time, whatever. I think it really just depends on how well her body heals and how well she's able to recover from the ACL tear. And hopefully, that she has the right doctor and everything goes right in the procedure when they actually reattach, the ACL and things of that nature. So, if her recovery goes well, her ACL, that's usually about an 6 to 8 month, I think, recovery window. It's not quite as bad as Tommy John, right? Tommy John, you're usually out for a season and a half or whatever. But I think she could come back next season at some point, right? At some point. I think we're in March right now. So you got about a year. I think it's possible she could come. If she has no setbacks and her recovery goes well and her rehab goes well, she could be back next year, late next year.
It could be close because it's March now and they restart their season probably October, November?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think college girls basketball probably starts around October, November. So,
I think that's what I was thinking about October, November, Tony, honestly. So I mean
that's right around 6 months. So it could be pushing it. We'll see.
I think if she makes it back, I don't know if she makes it back for regular season, but I do think she makes it back for March. If they get into March Madness or they make the tournament, I think she would be back for that. The question is, when she does come back, how much is it going to take to get her back into game shape? Will she be ready to go for game shape? Ideally, it would be good if she's back, at least 2 weeks or so before March Madness. So she'd have 2 weeks to really get back into that game shape, and if that can happen, which I think is all possible, I think she'll be, if she doesn't turn pro, which I don't think she will, then I think she would be back for March Madness. And I think she'll be fine for March Madness. It just sucks that the way she turned into that one girl, the way her ankle turned, it just twisted that knee left and right, and it just tore that ACL. And I feel bad for her because not too long ago, when she just did pictures with Jaden Daniels, and so hopefully Jaden's giving her some good love, in a good way that doesn't mess up the ACL. You may have to find something different. Maybe a different recreational activity.
Yeah, it's horrible for her. I think she's going to be a big star in the WNBA. I really do. I really like her. So hopefully,
Yeah.
speedy recovery for her. But what does this mean for USC? I mean, they were number 2 seed. It's going to be tough. I mean, that's who I picked to win it all. I picked USC to win the women's tournament. I know there's a lot of good teams.
What? You didn't pick Texas, you son of
I think USC plays a number 5 seed next game. I think they can get by that, but I think Elite Eight's as far as they're going to go now.
I'm actually pulling it up right now, but I'm pretty sure you already kind of know, since you've been following USC a little bit more than I have. Who has USC got next in line?
It was a 5 seed, but I can't remember who it was, to be honest.
So I'm pulling up the bracket now, and I'm looking for you. Oh, here's so yeah. So it looks like, let me get my computer or my phone to operate correctly. Looks like they're going to take on the winner. They got Kansas. This looks like Kansas State. That's what I'm seeing. Regional 4 Spokane. So it looks like they got Kansas State, and then if they beat Kansas State, which I think they can beat Kansas State. If they beat Kansas State, then they're going to get the winner of Oklahoma UConn, and I think that's where it could get tough for them.
Yeah, I agree.
So, sometimes Tony and Chris, you got to dig deep. Yeah, you lost your star, but it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily bow out, right? I mean, you might have to find that next person up and keep rolling. What do you think, Gonzo?
Yeah, I think they'll play hard. The team will respond. Just losing that much talent at this point in the tournament, it's going to be hard to overcome to try to make it to the Final Four and win a national championship.
Absolutely. And like I said, I personally believe that they can get past Kansas State. Now, Oklahoma, UConn, that's going to be another issue. But I think at the very least, I think like Tony was saying, I think they make Elite Eight. Would you say at least that much? Do you think that you have enough confidence in them that they would at least make the Elite Eight?
I don't know. It just depends on how the team responds. Sometimes you'll see a team come together and come out the next game when they lose a player like that and play real good. But then I've also seen it go the other way where it can deflate a team and they don't respond the next game. So I think you'll be able to tell a lot in the first 4 or 5 minutes of that game on how USC is going to how the team responded.
I also think that at this point, when you do lose a star player like a Cooper Flagg, not that they lost him, Cooper Flagg is still there, but when you have a guy like a Cooper Flagg or a Juju Watkins, and there's a possibility of losing them, and then you got to go throughout the rest of the tournament either without them. I think then, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I think then your most valuable player or person then becomes your coach, because your coach has to be able to get your team, like you said, not thinking that, we just lost our star, now we're screwed. A good coach finds a way to dig into that team. And if you really know your team as a coach, if you know your players and you know their temperaments and what it takes to flip their gears, a good coach will find a way to get their team back and refocused and continue on throughout the playoffs. So I think that this is, in some ways, for that USC program, they're going to find out how good of a coach they really have, and can he get this team back and motivated to continue on without Juju and be productive and do USC basketball.
It changes Kansas State's outlook too, because you don't have to worry about Juju now. So their game plan changes also on how they play.
Absolutely, because now you got to figure out. Now we don't have to really focus on Juju so much. So who do we focus on, and then who's going to take Juju, and how do we start gaming for Juju's replacement? Yeah. I get that. Yeah. I think USC is going to have to really dig deep, like Gonzo said, but I really think it's going to come down to that coach. Coach is going to have to earn that paycheck. He's going to have to earn that money and get the psychological mindset of that team back on track.
Yeah, I agree. I think USC ended that game, played well. So I think they'll be fun. Like I said, I really think they'll beat Kansas State. But it's a whole nother story once they get past that to either play Oklahoma or UConn. I think could be a different story for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Joe, I just saw your comment, and I will tell you, we're going to talk about this now, but you obviously know that now the Lakers are on a 2-game losing streak. So obviously, Frankie is really probably contemplating the meaning of Lake Show and what that means now. He's not here to defend himself. That's why I know I'm going to get him in here quick. He's a little late to the party right now, Joe. I think he's probably dealing with Carson, his teacher. So I'm pretty sure Frankie's going to be in here any minute. What a time to be alive. Frankie, get your butt in here.
Who do you guys think the favorite is now to win it all in the women's tournament?
Oh, man, that's a good one. You know, and I hate this because I really don't follow women's basketball as much as y'all do. So I don't know. I'm going to rely on you guys on this one. I'm still thinking Texas wins it all, but don't take that for anything because, like I said, I don't follow women's basketball all that much. So I'm going to rely on you guys.
I originally had USC, but now I think I'm going to have to go with probably South Carolina. I do like Notre Dame too. So Notre Dame plays TCU.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I would say don't look past UConn. I like that school. I like their basketball history over there. So I would say, even though I know UConn's slated at number 2, but I'd probably say don't look past UConn. Texas plays Tennessee, so that should be interesting to see how that turns out. Like I said, I got Texas to win it all, but I don't. Gonzo, how you feeling?
Real quick, if Texas wins and TCU beats Notre Dame, we could have Texas-TCU matchup.
Man, wouldn't that be crazy? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that would be. Chris, what do you think?
You're right, because they have to get past Notre Dame, and then and I probably believe Texas is going to beat Tennessee. I think Texas is going to be in the Final Four. The interesting thing is going to be who's going to be in the Final Four with them. That's going to be the question. I think USC we thought was going to be there, and they could still be there. It's just going to be a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Texas comes out of that side of the bracket. I think Duke is going to play the winner of South Carolina, Maryland. Wouldn't that be interesting if it was a Duke South Carolina matchup in the Elite Eight? Or excuse me, I guess that'd be the Elite Eight, I guess, right? That would be interesting.
Yeah,
I think I would actually really like to see that game because, you know, Duke, UConn, those are very storied programs in college basketball. I know that. So I'd like to see those two guys go at it and see what happens. And honestly, if Duke goes up against South Carolina, I'm going to be hardcore pulling for South Carolina. I'd like to see somebody take out Duke.
Yeah, there's some good matchups. LSU, North Carolina State. That's a 2 and a 3. Both those teams are pretty good. There's some good matchups there in the Sweet 16.
Obviously, UCLA is still there too, as well. UCLA is playing against Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss was one that destroyed Ball State. They beat the crap out of Ball State.
So that should be a good game. If they come in there with that same energy against UCLA, you know. The interesting thing about I don't know if you guys, you know, I'm sure you guys know this already. I'm just looking at all of the rankings of all the teams that are playing today, and there's not one damn underdog or Cinderella team in all of this. That's just crazy because usually we have a Cinderella that'll be at least one time in there in that bracket. I don't see one.
We got the two highest seeds are we got 2 teams that are 5 seeds, Kansas State and Ole Miss. That's it. Everything else is 2s and 3s. I don't even think there's any 4s. Yeah, there is a 4. Maryland's a 4. They're the only 4.
I just think it's interesting that the lowest seeded team is 5. Comes in at like Tennessee's at 5. So I mean that's like the lowest seeded team.
Yeah.
And well, besides Kansas State. It's just there's no 12s in there. There's no 11s. There's no whatever. I mean, there's no
I don't think you get that as much in the women's tournament because it's so top heavy. You have your like there's such a big drop off. Like you got your good teams, your real good teams, and then there's not a whole lot of like good teams. It goes from real good teams to a big drop off in level.
Yeah,
so are you saying? So if I understand you correctly, what you're saying, Gonzo, is basically you're more likely to see a Cinderella in the men's tournament than you are in the women's.
Yeah, if you go back and look at the scores from the last 3 or 4 days of the women's games, there's a lot of teams getting beat by 40, 50 points, 30, 40, 50 points in a lot of games. Not a very many close games. So once you get past those top 16 teams, it gets pretty, there's a difference.
I think that'll could change some in the years to come. I think a lot of that is because women's sports used to not be as popular. Now women's sports are getting more popular, starting to have more athletes. So now I think you'll start seeing it get dispersed around the schools. Some of these other schools that usually couldn't get talent will be able to get talent because there's more talent out there. So I think you might see them get more upsets like that eventually. But I think right now it's just because like you have your good, like for instance, Ball State. I think it only lost like 2 or 3 games all season, won their conference, and they just got waxed by Ole Miss. You could tell the teams weren't even on the same level.
Right. But and then you look at the men's side of it, and the only, I guess, quote unquote, if you want to call them a Cinderella team, would be Arkansas. They're ranked 10. Everybody else is, seeded 5 or higher. There's only, I guess, and I don't consider Arkansas to be a Cinderella team, but I'm just saying, but they are ranked 10. So, I mean,
Arkansas, you got to consider Cinderella, especially, I know they got a great coach, but you got to consider them that way because of the start they got off to. They started off 0-5.
Right.
And then,
but Calipari, we all know what Calipari has done out there in Kentucky. The fact that he actually took out Pitino is crazy because Rick Pitino is a hell of a fight. But those are 2 great college coaches. That's why I thought that matchup was so incredible because you had 2, amazing coaches at the college level going at it, and Calipari obviously took away from it, but it's incredible.
Chris, who do you kind of like in the women's tournament now?
Probably South Carolina.
Sons of bitches.
On the side with Texas.
I ain't never. Hey, hold on. Okay, Chris, why do you go South Carolina? No, seriously. I know Tony, and because Tony has said since day one, and Tony, trust me, I listened to you. Since day one, you've been saying South Carolina.
Well, I said USC.
You said USC.
Well, you're right. You did say USC, but I know you also had South Carolina though in there, right there. Gonzo, from day one, did you have kind of South Carolina in there along with? I know South Carolina is easy one to say because they're number 1, but has that always kind of been your direction? Is that you felt like South Carolina was? And I'm asking that because of Texas. Like, that's, and I'm not, and I know I'm a Texas guy, so I want to take myself out of the equation. No, seriously. Jay McLovin isn't existing right now. I'm just asking from a bipartisan. Why is it that you are dismissing Texas for SC, or excuse me, for South Carolina?
Well, just because I said I thought South Carolina was going to tournament, don't mean I'm dismissing Texas. But
I don't mean to put words in your mouth like that either.
But to be honest with you, I haven't watched. To be honest with you, I haven't watched it. Only women's college basketball I've watched this year has been.
Okay.
I really haven't watched any. I've listened to a lot of Ball State on the radio because when I'm out driving around, they're on. So I haven't watched a lot of it. I said South Carolina because they're. If you look at their track record, they've been one of the best teams in college basketball for the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And I kind of thought it was going to come down between them and USC because I like Juju Watkins, but of course she got hurt now, so that's why I went with South Carolina.
Do you think if Juju Watkins came out in the draft, do you think that? Well, let me ask you this, and take away the ACL injury. Do you think that Juju Watkins would be like number 1 or 1 through 3 in the women's draft going into WNBA if she came out right or after this tournament and she went pro? Do you think that she would be considered, 1 through 3, somewhere in 1 through 3?
I definitely think she would. I think she might be number 1, depending on the team's needs.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, but sometimes the team's needs would make them trade out for somebody to trade up for 1. I'm just saying, like, do you think that she would, if she came out after March, if she hadn't torn the ACL and had a good season, do you think that she would have gone number 1 or will go, in the draft?
I think for one, she, even if she went and got hurt by the rules, she couldn't have came out this year. But if she were to come out this year, I think she would have been number one when she does come out. I think she'd be eligible to come out in 27. So I think she has 2 more seasons.
Okay.
I would, unless she just drops way off, not coming back for this injury. I think she'll be the number one pick when she does come out.
I guess the follow-on question to that is, because again, guys, I don't know as much. I obviously know, in men's basketball, you got to do 1 year of college before you can be eligible. Now, we talked about that yesterday. In women's college basketball, I don't know. I'm not as proficient. So, do you have to go 3 years in women's college basketball before you can go pro?
From what I just read a minute ago, I'm pretty sure that you got it's all 4 years.
So that's interesting that they require women to go 4 and the men to go 1. I mean, that's considering that the fact that the NBA, controls the WNBA, you would think that there would be an alignment with that.
Well, one reason I think they're not in alignment is you got to think about this. There's a lot more NBA teams. There's not as many WNBA teams. So if you're bringing in that many players every year, there's going to be players that are going to get cut because there's just not spots for everybody. So you're going to start, they draft this many players every year, then you're going to start seeing some of these other players get pushed out. You know what I mean? Because there's not, how many teams is there? Maybe 30, if even that.
Oh, there's that many.
That's interesting. It's interesting how women's basketball works versus men's. I mean, there's so many differences and so many nuances in that side of it, right? I mean, on the business side, the drafting side, it's just a whole different, almost like a whole different animal, in a sense.
Yeah,
Interesting.
It is, and when it hasn't been it's just now getting close to mainstream. Actually, I mean, it's kind of weird.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel like
okay?
Let's take a quick poll.
Hey, Jay, real quick. Here's the rule. According to the collective bargaining agreement between the WNBA and its players union, all NCAA players who graduate from a 4-year college within 3 months of the draft or are 4 years removed from high school graduation or turn at least 22 years old during the year which the draft takes place. So you either got to be out of high school for 4 years or go to college for 4 years.
So really, when it comes down to
well,
it,
22
you're not going to be in the draft until you're at least 22 years of age, regardless of wherever it is you are. That's really what it comes down to. 22 years of age is their
unless you graduate college and you're younger than 22. Yes.
Right. Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay, that's interesting. Wow. I mean, that is vastly different, than men's. Let me ask you guys a question. I will tell you right now, I don't really watch much women's basketball. I really just don't. But I also don't really watch a whole lot of WNBA. I did watch WNBA when Houston had a team. And then when Houston lost its team, I just kind of went by the wayside after the comments, got disbanded or whatever you want to call it. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like let me ask you this first. Let's take a poll. I just said I don't watch women's too much. Gonzo, Tony, how much women's basketball do you guys watch? I'm going somewhere with this.
I'll be honest with you. Before last year, I had probably hadn't watched 5 minutes of WNBA. I did watch 2 or 3 games, and I followed the fever. Every day I made sure I checked the score.
But how much on the college level? I'm talking about the college level. How much college level basketball were you watching?
A little, probably even less than the pros.
Right. Gonzo, would you kind of fit in that same category as kind of what me and Tony are in?
He probably watched more than I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I college basketball this year. I didn't watch much women's. Like I said, I listened to our local team on the radio. I haven't watched much. I watched a little bit the other night of the NCAA tournament, but other than that, I haven't watched much this year. Now, the last couple of years, I've watched quite a bit of college basketball, but that was also because Caitlin Clark was playing, and I was watching quite a few of them games.
Right. And I guess where I'm going, and the reason why I'm asking you that is, it just seems like, a lot of us don't watch women's basketball, right? We just don't. Whether it be on the college side, the WNBA side, we really don't watch a whole lot, unless your name is Glenn Richardson. Now, that guy, he watches some WNBA. But I think for the most part, most of America probably doesn't follow the women's basketball, whether it be college or professional. And, I wonder at some point, I really think the WNBA has a huge contributing factor to how much women's college basketball. In other words, if the WNBA continues to grow, if, it become more popular, if people get more buy-in with the WNBA, then I think I got to think at some point the adverse effect would be that college or women's college basketball would become more popular or more people would watch, because I really don't think a whole lot of people watch.
Well, Jay, I'll be honest with you. I think, let's see if Chris agrees. I think at least till last year, with Clark coming in, the WNBA got a big push. College basketball was more popular than the WNBA. Chris, what do you think? Do you think that? I think college was more popular than WNBA at least till last year.
That's what I was going to say.
He's looking at the numbers, but yeah, I don't think it was close. I think college killed them at least until last year.
Yeah, and I think Joe kind of says or chimes in with kind of what we were already saying. Like, he says that he's never watched women's basketball, whether it be college or pro. And I think that's really the toughest hurdle. I mean, it's not now. Joe obviously is in Italy, so he's coming from an international standpoint. Yeah. So, I guess I'm just saying women's basketball really has a lot of area for growth, and they have a big hill to climb. Maybe Caitlin Clark, I hope, maybe even Angel Reese and her crazy ass comments and the things that she says, maybe that's what it's going to take, because maybe Angel Reese will be the guy with the radio that's getting an NIL deal. Maybe that's what it's going to take to get people to notice, seriously, if you think about it. But maybe those gimmicky kind of things is what it's going to take to get women's basketball on the radar, because right now it's almost as dead as the fish I caught 2 days ago that's sitting in my garage and hasn't been put in the refrigerator. You know what I mean?
I think it's on its way up, Joe. I think Juju could be a big added piece when she comes in. If Juju comes into WNBA and is healthy, I think Juju's another piece to that puzzle that could help them. It's crazy to think what Caitlin's effect was, because the Fever was lucky if they was averaging 3,000 or 4,000 people to a game, and they sold out every game 17,000. Right. And not only that, what the crazy part was, anywhere she went, they sold out. So so it's just crazy that one player had that much effect. It's
Absolutely.
Who in history is there an NBA player that had that much effect right away? Was Jordan didn't his first year?
No, Jordan was just coming in, because you remember Jordan really didn't hit too much of a stride until towards the end of his college career with North Carolina, when they won the championship. Which, by the way, yes, if Frankie was here, he would tell me, Jay, who'd they win the championship? Yeah, they won over the Houston Rockets. Okay, it is what it is. But in all honesty, Jordan really didn't come into his own until that latter part of college, when he really started to gain traction, and he really gained traction once he became with the Bulls. But let's be honest, Jordan really got traction once Phil Jackson got there.
Yeah.
When Phil Jackson took over that triangle offense and instilled what he did, Jordan already had a very incredible appetite for wanting to be the best. He just needed a coach to align with to help him get where he had to go. And I think he had it at the end of North Carolina. And I think he reestablished it once he got on with Phil Jackson. But I will tell you this, and I don't care what anybody says, Batman always has to have a sidekick, right? Kobe had Shaq and Gasol, and Michael had Pippen, and God, Braun had everybody that he could ever team up with. Yeah. But I just think women's basketball, if it ever really wants to transcend, and if I would tell you right now, if I was the NBA, I would be gearing everything towards a female audience. Because men just aren't going to get as attracted to female basketball. We just aren't. We're not geared that way. It's not played the same. We don't look at it the same. But if they ever got the women audience into basketball, whether it be on the college side or the pro side, you would see a bigger. And I'm telling you, Adam Silver, if you're listening, if you want the WNBA to grow, I don't know if you care for it to grow, but if you want it to grow, you got to start marketing to people that are of the female gender, man. Come on, let's go. I'm sorry, that's my best about that.
The problem is, Jay, is that they get people to watch women's basketball in college. Nobody, but they don't watch it in the WNBA. Last year, in 2024, for the women's college national championship game, okay, it didn't have Caitlin Clark in it. 18.9 million people watched the women's national championship game last year.
Well, that's a hell of a thing.
Okay, the WNBA finals last year got an average viewership of each game at 1.8 million, and the final game, game 5 or whatever, had 2 million.
Yeah,
look at the big disparity. No, people watch college women's basketball. People don't watch they're not watching the WNBA.
That's so weird. That's weird. That's weird though. That you and no, I'm glad you shared those numbers because that puts factual data to why I think it's weird. It's weird that we are so invested, like you said, at 18.9 in college, but we're not as invested at the pro level. And these are the same athletes coming over. Why are we? I don't understand. It has got to be. Maybe it's just market. Maybe it's I don't know. But you got to think if you're following somebody in college at 18.9 million. Why are we not following those same people as they transcend into the WNBA? That's a weird dynamic. I don't quite understand. Maybe it takes a marketing degree to understand that. I don't know.
There's probably more people watch the NCAA tournament than watch the NBA finals.
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's a real big disparity too. I guarantee NCAA's got big numbers for the tournament, especially the finals compared to the NBA finals. Of course, NBA's went down.
He said it's a good thing you guys aren't going to opening day. It's going to rain. Hey, we haven't got to baseball yet, but Glenn, we love you.
That's the only reason I didn't buy tickets was because I wasn't sure about the weather. I wasn't going out, sitting out there and freezing.
So basically, we have learned that people that basically support the Cincinnati Reds are basically people up north don't have the same heart as the ones in the south, because I would have went and saw it in the rain. I'm just saying I would.
Ain't about the rain. I'm not sitting out in 34, 35 degree weather in the rain.
Why not, man? It's 34. We're not negatives. Tony, what kind of people are
you want me to tell you why not?
Why
I can sit in a 70 degree house and watch it and not have to freeze.
That's the point. That's the point. See, hold on. You got a Reds. I can't really see too well, but I'm assuming that's a Reds shirt you're wearing, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yet you won't go see him in the rain. How much of a fan are you?
I'll go see him in the rain.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to.
I'll go see him in the rain, just not in March.
I'm a Reds fan.
I'll go see him in the rain, just not in March.
I'm a Reds fan. I'm also a pussy. I ain't going out there and sitting in the cold. I do not like the cold.
Hey, listen. You know what? Hold on. Let me just stop for a minute, because that's a very profound thing to say. And I want to stop for a second. The fact that you aren't a pussy and Gonzo is, and y'all guys, and he's your offspring. That just says a lot about that. I'm just saying. I don't know how you. I don't know.
Wait a minute. You said you.
Hold on.
Wait, whoa. He said he wasn't.
I am a pussy.
He said he was a pussy. He didn't say he wasn't a pussy.
I am a pussy. I ain't sitting out in the rain.
Oh, my bad. I totally heard that differently.
No. Thanks, Jay. Being on my side either way. Thanks a lot.
Hey, listen. Us Gen X has got to stick up for yourselves. You know, people like Gonzo. What is Gonzo? What's after Gen X? Is that millennial? Freaking millennials. God. Even your beard is a millennial.
About 5-6 years ago, I wouldn't have cared if it was cold out. I'd have went and sat through it. But with my body now, I can't sit in the cold like that.
Hey, look, man, I feel you, bro. Listen, I remember there was a time when I used. There was a time when I used to be acclimated to your weather.
I wouldn't have cared because I used to work outside in the cold every day, so I was used to it. But man, I can't do it no more.
Oh yeah, he's
Glenn says, if I backed out of, I can't read that. Y'all read that. My glasses are terrible. Tony, read that. Oh, okay. So, Glenn, you're coming up with excuses. You're basically a pussy, but you don't want to say you're a pussy. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry. My glasses were terrible. I was going to ask Tony to read that to me so I could understand what you were saying, but okay.
Oh yeah,
I grab a poncho.
I've sat through many rain delays at baseball games.
Yeah, Glenn goes out there in that heat, man. He goes to them NASCAR races and the IndyCar, man. He'll go out there some of them races, be 80, 90. He'll come back, looks like a lobster, man. He looks like he's cooked.
You know what I've learned? Even with Glenn's disabilities, he's more of a man. Just saying.
I agree with that. Glenn's the man.
Glenn, you are the man. And by the way, that shaved head is looking good on you, Bubba. A little bit more tanning up here, and you're going to be on point.
Yep, he got a little tan. Him and Frankie look a little bit alike.
No, ain't nobody look like Frankie, man. That's an ugly son of a gun, man. I'm cleaning that up. Frankie's an ugly son of a God. He's so ugly, but his personality makes him look a little bit prettier. He does have pretty children. I will say this: my godchildren, they're pretty. They're pretty. They're pretty, and I'm going to give all of Frankie's children's beautifulness directly to Caitlin, because Caitlin is a beautiful lady, and Caitlin, I guess her genetics can outride that of Frankie's ugliness. That time to be alive.
Yeah, we went off the rails again.
Yeah, we did. St. Louis has a hotter races. I bet St. Louis does have some pretty hot races. All right. I don't know much about St. Louis.
Wait a minute, because I didn't sound right. What Jay was saying was that he bet that St. Louis does have some hot races. He didn't say what it sounded like he said.
Race car races.
Right, yes.
Let's get this all into the right format. We're talking about NASCAR races and Indy races.
Yeah. Woo.
I don't even know what the disclaimer button is. But Glenn is laughing, so I guess he understood what I was talking about. I do want to say thank you to Glenn and Tony for being my interpreters, explaining what it is I'm saying, because without them, I would be nobody. I'd probably be in jail.
Oh, shit.
The hottest races.
I can't. Stop making me laugh. Stop it. I can't see through the dilation from the eye doctor. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
By the way, if you guys have ever been dilated at the eye doctor and they tell you that, yeah, we believe you're okay to drive, don't believe those motherfuckers. Don't believe them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it was only by the grace of God that I found my ass the way home. It was a few times. It was a little scary. I'm not going to lie to you. And by the way, the lady that I cut off at the intersection of I-10 and 40, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Glenn's not helping things at all. Glenn's not helping things at all.
Stop that. I can't read that. Oh, back on track. Back on track.
I'm trying to get the right, and you're not helping things at all.
Back on track. Okay. All right. We talked plenty of women's basketball.
Yeah,
I just want to go to the men's. I know we talked men's briefly yesterday. And by the way, obviously today is the first day now that men's basketball will be picking up now. So today is the first day of Sweet 16 for men.
I thought it was Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Is it Thursday?
It's Thursday.
For some reason, is that right? Okay, maybe I looked at that wrong. Okay, Thursday. I apologize. Well, you know what? We won't worry about that right now. We'll cover that when Wednesday hits. We'll leave that one right where it lies. But I know let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about JJ McCarthy, if y'all don't mind. And Gonzo, I know when he said Jay got Facebook confused right now, they got the link. Is that the lingerie or they got the finger on the block button? Oh.
I thought it said something else. I'm just...
Good times, Joe. Thank you for I don't know what, but thank you for that. I don't even know where to go. Gonzo, we want to talk about some JJ McCarthy. The man says apparently, and I know we talked about this in pre-show, but apparently JJ McCarthy says that he has not officially been named the quarterback for 2025. Now, I know you guys said in pre-show that it should be understood that he's going to be the starting quarterback. But why do you think that, or at least in JJ McCarthy's mind, he must be thinking something different because he's clearly come out and said that he hasn't been named the starter. So what's going on in Vikings land?
Have they signed a backup yet? Have they signed another quarterback?
Not that I know of. Matter of fact, Aaron Rodgers was turned away.
No, they're talking about signing maybe Ryan Tannehill as
that's who it was.
as basically the backup.
I did hear that. That's right. And then
Ryan Tannehill? When's the last time Ryan Tannehill played a game of football? That had to be at least 2 years ago, right?
He said he didn't play last season. He just sat out last season.
Man, Ryan Tannehill, I really thought that Ryan Tannehill rode off into the sunset. I didn't think he was going to be making a debut back in the NFL anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Well, if Tannehill's who they sign, then that pretty much for sure makes McCartney the starter. Tannehill's not going to be the starter there. He's just going to be a veteran backup. And then the Giants, they signed somebody, didn't they?
The Giants.
I think they signed.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They signed Winston.
I don't say Winston.
Yeah,
but he's going. I mean, they're probably
Well,
the money they paid him, and they're planning on being a backup.
Well, I didn't know. I think it kind of depends on what happens with the Rodgers and.
Well, you're right. So Jameis Winston went to the Giants. I'm kind of wondering if, it's interesting that you said that, Gonzo, about him possibly being a backup. Do you think that they're still going to be possibly either? Because look, there's only 2 really good quarterbacks left that could be possible candidates, unless you're going for the draft. It's either Wilson or it's Rodgers, right? So we know Rodgers is currently talking with Pittsburgh at this point. So that really only leaves if he gets picked up by Pittsburgh, then Wilson would be the only viable true starting quarterback that could do a damn thing for the Giants. I don't think you pick up Wilson. Honestly, I think if you're going to roll this direction, roll with Jameis Winston and then try to pick up a quarterback in the draft and then go that direction. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Man,
with McCarthy, I was just reading about McCarthy real quick. He was on a podcast, and I guess they asked him if the question was asked to him if the Vikings had told him he was going to be the number 1 quarterback, and he said no. But he also said, because you know how it goes, they never add context to it. They just get the headline that it's going to get clicks. But he also said that he was glad. He said, and I'm happy they didn't, because I try to earn it every single day, and I never want that to be given to me. It's such a privilege and opportunity to give me that chance, and I'm just going to make the most of it every day. So it wasn't like he was saying it like that he was upset, but
no, hold on. That's a PR person giving him a script to read. That's not his true damn feelings.
It's a quote on a podcast.
No, I know it's a quote. I'm saying it's a PR that gave him a script to read as a quote, as his quote. Like he literally is saying, like if somebody, his PR guy or his agent gave him a script. That's not him coming out and saying, I don't believe that for one damn minute. That does not sound like the person that wants to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Why does it not sound like a starting quarterback? Because if you really, I really believe it just sounds too scripted. It sounds like that's what
if he would have said, yeah, I'm glad they said I'm the number 1 quarterback this year. I like things to be given to me easy. You would think that I'm like he's a starting quarterback.
Give it to me easy part. I don't know. But
that's what he just said here. He goes, I don't want anything to be given to me. I want to earn it. To me, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Oh, it's not a bad. No, I didn't mean it as in that's a bad thing. It just, to me, that answer just sounds scripted. It doesn't sound like a natural answer. It sounds like somebody's scripted an answer for him to say to be good on the PR side. I don't know.
It could be, but Jay, also could be. You got a pretty young guy who probably hasn't done very many podcasts. I mean, the dude just 1 year out of college. He probably ain't been on very many shows. So that could, I mean, it does in a way sound scripted. I get where you're coming from, but it could be just he's just maybe not real good at handling that type of situation.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you remember a movie back in the day called Bull Durham? Right? Remember when Kevin Costner's character was giving old boy the quotes to say to the media? Right? Do you remember that part? Hey, look, this is what you say on this message. This is what you say. And he was feeding him one-liners. It's like a bunch of one-liners that Kevin Costner was feeding the guy that was going to be the pitcher of the future, right? I feel like that's what I felt about J.J. McCarthy. I feel like people are giving him things to say that sounds good politically to the audience. Not that this is because it doesn't sound like a natural answer to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, when something sounds scripted, it just doesn't sound natural. I'd much rather a natural answer than a scripted, and that's just the way I took that type of.
And also, you're reading it and writing, so that may not be
For sure
exactly what he said too. So it could come off that way. I mean, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I didn't hear the podcast, so it's kind of hard to judge.
Right. I do think I think we are all in agreement that at this point in time, the Vikings are going to make J.J. McCarthy the starter. They're not going to go for Wilson. They're not going to go for Rodgers. There's really nobody else out there that they could bring in.
Do you guys think
better than what they currently have?
Do you think it's the right decision? Do you think they should have moved away from Darnold? Do you think they're making the right decision, or do you think that they're making a bad decision? Do you think they're making a risky? I think it's pretty risky. On this head coach, if his team only wins 7 games next year, and I'm not saying they will, but let's say they do with a new quarterback after the season they had last year, which I know was ahead of schedule, and nobody expected Darnold to do that. But if you go backwards that much, I think that coach could be looking for a new job. What do you guys think?
Oh, I'm gonna let Gonzo take that one first, and then I'm gonna talk about that one.
No, I agree with you. I think that coach has put himself in a tough spot because not only did you move on from Darnold, who you won 14 games last year, then you've also moved on from Daniel Jones, who I'm not saying is a great quarterback, but he could have been a backup, or hell, at this point, we don't know if McCarthy is better than Daniel Jones. Then you supposedly have had the opportunity of maybe getting Rodgers. So if you turn down 3 guys to make this guy your starter and it don't work out, I mean, I think McDonald's putting all his chips in one basket here. I find it hard to believe that they let Darnold go. But once they let Darnold go, to me, they were going to McCarthy. But I wouldn't rule out Aaron Rodgers to Minnesota just yet. And the reason I say that is because I've heard this reporter on a lot of different radio shows.
I know who you're talking about.
And she's plugged in with the NFL, and she said that she's not saying it's going to happen, but that she still believes that Rodgers could end up in Minnesota. Even when the reports came out last week that Minnesota was going to go with McCarthy as the starter. So I wouldn't rule it completely out yet that Rodgers could end up in Minnesota, but I would say that they're probably going to go with McCarthy, and I do think it's a big risk just because you just don't know what McCarthy is because we didn't get a chance to see him play at all, and his guy's coming off a season-ending injury as well. So I mean, is he fully recovered? You can feel great, but you really don't know till you get out there on the field and start trying to play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. I hear what you're saying, Gonzo, about Rodgers, not being ruled out at Minnesota, because there is a saying. What does it say? Never say never, right? That's a saying. Never say never. Can always happen. You're right. And it could, because how many times have we seen in the free agent world where we think one thing's going to happen and another happens? I think, what's his name? Myles Garrett was a perfect example of that. I'm not coming back to them. Hell no. I'm going to go everywhere. And the money, I don't care about the money. I don't care about Canton. I care about winning championships, but you get the max contract or what happens. Like every other person, you fold like a little bitch. And yes, it was always about the money, Myles Garrett. It was always about the money. And you know it. You know it. Look, I see you, Myles. You know it. Having said that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to regress. Aaron Rodgers, if he really believed that and this is just my opinion, if Aaron Rodgers really thought he had a shot in Minnesota, he ain't going to Pittsburgh and interviewing. He's going to stick to his guns and stick with the Minnesota and ride that wave. I think they made it really clear to Aaron Rodgers early on that not early on, but at some point they made it clear that, we're going to stick with JJ. I'm sorry, we're not bringing him in. And that's why he went to Pittsburgh, because he damn sure wouldn't go to the Giants, because he knows he don't got a shot in hell to get back to a playoff with the Giants. But
it could also, him going to Pittsburgh to take an interview could also be a leverage move as well with the Vikings, kind of forcing
you're right.
Forcing their hand a little bit as well. So it could go both ways on that.
Yeah, I want to get your opinion on what Joe said. Joe says that he thinks Rodgers would have been a better fit with the Steelers anyway, and I assume he thinks over the Vikings. I disagree with that. I'm not saying he's a bad fit with the Steelers, but with the talent that Minnesota's got, I think it's a better fit.
I think you're right. I think the fact that Minnesota has a really good running back in Aaron Jones, which Rodgers is familiar with. I think Jefferson being there, Hawkinson being there, everything is in line. The offensive line is there. Everything that Aaron Rodgers needs to go to the Super Bowl, Minnesota has every single position covered for Aaron Rodgers to get back to the Super Bowl. They really honestly do.
I agree with that.
When you look at Pittsburgh, Najee Harris left. You really don't know who's running the ball. You don't have a feel for the team. Yes, DK Metcalf is there. Great. You got one good wideout. You still don't know about Pickens, because Pickens is kind of an emotional guy. He's a little bit left. He's a little bit right. So you don't know. Jordan Addison is a little bit more stabilized. Freiermuth is a decent tight end at Pittsburgh, but I don't think he's Hawkinson worthy. I think Hawkinson is still the better fit. I think everything is in alignment with Minnesota. As weird as it is, because he would have to deal with, I followed in Brett Favre's footsteps, but sometimes it's worth it because you are going to a better situation at every level and every aspect. With Pittsburgh, you got a lot more questions than you do answers on that offensive area. So yes, you're right. Hold on. Yes, you're right. Minnesota is a better option for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think it's available at this time. I think Aaron Rodgers' next best opportunity is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Having said that, even if he does sign with Pittsburgh, I'm just telling you right now, they are not going to get to the Super Bowl. This is just Aaron Rodgers, one more year in the league, one more paycheck at a pretty good level versus going to the New York Giants, which are still in purgatory because you have one good guy at the wide receiving core, and that's about it.
You make the playoffs. You make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're not going to make the playoffs in New York.
Oh, really?
No, you will not make the playoffs.
I think he got a shot.
I don't think he makes a playoff. I just don't think. Look, I look at the Giants setup. I look at New York Jets setup. And quite honestly, I think New York Jets have more to offer than the Giants do. That's why I'm saying I don't think he goes anywhere in terms of the playoffs with the New York Giants. That's just my opinion. You take it for what you think. So at the end of the day, JJ McCarthy, I do think this is your team. I do think it was a dumb move on Minnesota not to give Aaron Darnold a contract. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. If you're not going to go with Rodgers, which is really weird, you let go of Darnold to think about Rodgers, only to bypass on Rodgers and stick with McCarthy. Really? This is what you want to do. You want to go with a proven 14-game winning quarterback for an unproven that you still don't know what you really truly have. And you won't know what you have until opening day. This is the way you want to go. Bad decision on every aspect of Minnesota. Bad decision, and that's why your ass has not had a Super Bowl. Fran Tarkenton would be rolling over right now. Just saying.
That, Chris?
I think it's a bad decision, but I think what their decision was saying that they believe that that the season that Sam Darnold had was a flukish season, and that he wasn't going to be able to repeat the way he played last season.
Or they didn't want to pay him that big money.
It wasn't like he played. I mean, he didn't go get a real big deal. He got in the 30s, but it wasn't like he got. Hell, they could have franchise tagged him for 1 year for not much more than what the whole contract was that he got. I guess what they offered him was like 1 year for like 15 or like 16 to 20 million was what Minnesota offered Darnold. They just wanted to offer him a 1 year contract.
I don't blame him for not taking it.
You know what I think we learned of all this, and when I say we, I don't really mean we because I can only speak for myself. You know what I learned or what I believe in this? I believe that at the end of the day, when we come playoff time, I think Detroit's going to be your winner. I think they're going to win the division, clearly. I think Chicago is going to be probably number 2. And I think Minnesota's at 3, and then I forget who's the fourth person in that damn division.
Still got Green Bay in there.
Oh, Green Bay. Oh, shoot, my bad. I apologize. No, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna say Detroit. I'm gonna say Chicago. I'm gonna say Green Bay, and I'm gonna say Minnesota. I think Minnesota goes last place. Is my point. I think they're gonna be last place in the division.
There's still question marks. And I know I may get killed for this. Still question marks with Chicago. I'm not saying the guy is bad, but we still don't know if he's good yet, and that's the quarterback of Chicago.
Well, here's what we do know.
Still questions out on him.
Well, no, hold on. Here's what we do know. He didn't have a bad year. It wasn't as good as Jaden Daniels, but he didn't have a bad year. I don't have the stats in front of me to pull it up, but I know he threw up, and I know Chris is going to look that up for me. Please, Chris, if you don't mind. But I know he threw for a pretty good amount of yardage. I know he threw a pretty good touchdown to interception ratio, given the offensive line that he had last year.
Bad offensive line.
But I will tell you this. You know they upgraded that offensive line.
Yeah.
You know they did that. So that's where the thing I'm banking on is the upgraded offensive line.
Yeah, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying that the Bears couldn't be number 2. I understand. I still say, and again, they did upgrade offensive line, but I've seen people spend money on offensive line before. And well, the year that the Colts was terrible. I mean, they were terrible.
Right.
And they were going into the season as rated as one of the top 5 offensive lines in the league, and ended up being one of the worst offensive lines in the league for whatever reason.
But here's what we also know, right? Last year, he put up those numbers under Eberflus. Right? Which, by the way, I still hate Eberflus. He's with the Cowboys. But hold on. But we know that they upgraded in coaching staff because they brought in Ben Johnson that had a hell of a good year.
But you don't know if Ben Johnson's an upgrade on Eberflus as a head coach.
What's that?
So we don't know if Ben Johnson's.
You don't think Ben Johnson's Gonzo? Now I love you, man, but really,
how do we know that? How do we know that
is an upgrade over Eberflus?
I can't sit here and say 100% that Ben Johnson is an upgrade as a head football coach over Matt Eberflus. We've never seen Ben Johnson as a head football coach. I have seen Eberflus as a defensive coordinator, one of the best in the league, before he got the Chicago Bears head coaching job. Eberflus was a hot commodity in the league.
That's a good point.
But he didn't have a great head coaching thing with the Bears. We don't know if Ben Johnson's going to have a better experience with the Bears.
All right, watch
than what Eberflus did.
I got you. But there's 2 things we do know. Eberflus couldn't develop a quarterback. I believe Ben Johnson can develop a quarterback. We also, he's offensive minded. We also know that he put upgrades at the offensive line where Eberflus didn't. I believe when you have an offensive minded coach, as long as he has a really good defensive coordinator that can maintain that defensive level, I think that's going to be the difference. Chicago has never had a really true offensive-minded head coach. And I think that is what hurt Justin Fields a lot. Not that Justin Fields was the best quarterback, because I still, outside of C.J. Stroud, which is the anomaly for me when it comes to Ohio State quarterbacks, I've never really believed in Ohio State quarterback, number 1. But number 2, I never believed in Ohio State quarterback and a defensive-minded coach that can really truly develop or help said quarterback. I think that this guy, Caleb Williams, has talent. I think he showed it last year with what he had, right? And I think he is an offensive-minded coach, which came from a good organization and a good coaching regime. That's why I feel like, and again, you're right, Gonzo. There's still question marks.
Yeah.
Up until game one, there are question marks in Chicago if they're doing the right things. But I do think, I feel it. You have that gut instinct. My gut is telling me that Chicago is trending much better than what Minnesota is right now.
But I get that, but that's the same thing everybody thought last year.
Yeah, I was going to say that
as well.
Right.
Because they got all these weapons, they got everything they need. They got the number one pick not because they suck, because they traded the trade they made the year before, and then they were worse. They were worse last year than they were the year before with Fields.
But again, I'm going to go back to Fields. I just feel like Fields didn't have the offensive mentorship that he needed in Chicago. I just don't think he had.
He had
that.
trouble with offensive line also.
Again, you're right, and I really feel like Ben Johnson has addressed. Look,
yeah,
he just brought in boy from Kansas City. He brought in the other guy. Was it Brown? I forget. He brought in 2 offensive tackles.
Yep.
I don't remember that. I think it's Trent Brown or somebody. Either way, he brought in 2 offensive tackles to take over that offensive line, which is huge. It's huge. Again, there's questions. There's always questions until you see the proof in the pudding. Right. So I get what you're saying. I just, in my gut, I feel like it's going to be Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay. And I think Minnesota is going to be dead last. And I might be wrong on that, but for some reason, I'm going to go with my gut. My gut's never steered me wrong except for the second or except for the first wife. The first wife, my gut went wrong, but my gut got it right on the second wife. So I'm going to stick with my gut on this one. Is that a weird way to say that? I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, in all honesty, we'll see, right? I mean, it'll be interesting to say the least.
Since we was talking about how Chicago's going to do, Chris, gut feeling right now, how do you think the Colts are going to finish up this year? And Jay, how do you think your Cowboys are going to finish this year? Of course, got a long way to go before we even start playing.
If you don't mind, Gonzo, if you don't mind, can I take this one first? Is it okay? I'm gonna go first. Okay. I feel like Cowboys are gonna finish third. I still feel I feel like the order of that division is gonna go, and I might be wrong, but I got a good strong feeling on this one that Washington's gonna go number 1. I feel like what Philly lost on that defensive side that they gave up and brought in, I feel like Philly's gonna go number 2. I feel like Dallas goes 3 and New York Giants goes 4. That's the way I feel about the NFC East right now.
Chris, what do you think about the Colts?
I think they will either be first or second in the division.
I'm going that we're going to be 10-7 or 11-6. I think we're going to finish second in the division, and we're going to make the playoffs. And I think we'll be out the first round of the playoffs. That's what I think.
I feel that. I really do. I feel like Houston's number 1. I feel like Indy's number 2. And then everything else, Jacksonville, Tennessee.
I don't know.
3 or 4, swap, however you want to fill it. It doesn't really matter. I do think Indy makes the playoffs. I think they're a wild card. I don't think they have enough at the quarterback position, truthfully. And I could be wrong. I don't think Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson have enough experience. I'm really speaking about Anthony Richardson. He doesn't have enough experience to get him to that next level yet. I think Anthony Richardson needs a little bit more time. Is healthy if you're going to keep him. Daniel Jones, from New York Giants, we don't believe in Daniel Jones.
No, the only thing I will say about Jones.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I do like about Jones, I will say, is that his percentage of completing passes is a lot better than Richardson. He's almost 70%. So if he could come there and limit the turnovers and play within the system, I'm believing in the coach. Can he turn him around? I'm not saying he will, but I've got more hope in that than I do Richardson improving a lot more.
And again, either one of those may prove left or right. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, whoever goes. I just don't think there's enough there at the QB spot currently to overtake, Houston at the 1 spot or even overcome a wild card spot. I still think there's a more experience if you do find out who your quarterback is, he's going to need a little bit more experience before you take that next level up.
I think we can take over Houston with what we have at quarterback.
Yeah. We wasn't way off this year, but
we could.
I smell crack sometimes too. It's okay.
I'm telling you, we were the one our division last year. If Jonathan Taylor don't drop a football walking into the end zone, we beat Denver that game, and then we finished off the season. We would have won the division over Houston last year. With Joe Flacco starting most of the season for us.
Okay. Now that's hard to argue with because I do get it. When Joe Flacco was there, which again, Tony Gonzo, experience, right? This is the same guy that won a Super Bowl with Baltimore. So you had a lot of experience at that position to put you in the right spot to do those kinds of things.
Okay,
you don't have that with Daniel Jones, and you certainly don't have that with Anthony.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but guess who we won more games last year with at quarterback? Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson?
Tell me.
Anthony Richardson. We lost more games with Flacco as a starting quarterback than what we did with Richardson.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, so all right, I will meet you in the middle. I will meet you on this argument. No, seriously, I will meet you on this argument in the middle because when you got factual data, it's very hard to go against that. So I will meet you in the middle. I'm not going to be a douchebag. I'm going to meet you in the middle. And the middle for me is there's questions for how far Indy can go. I will say this. I think the three of us will agree that at the very least, Indy gets the wild card. Now, after that wild card, I'm going to tell you right now, I think there's question marks. Yeah. I think there's questions at the wild card spot, right? I think we can meet in the middle on that.
I love Joe.
I got the Colts, Houston, Jacksonville.
I knew Joe was a smart man.
Yeah, but look who's got winning the other division.
Hold the phone.
Wait.
Hold the phone. Joe, hold on.
Look at Joe's other prediction.
Joe, hold on. Joe, did you really put the Colts over Houston? And I'm not trying to dog on the Colts by any means.
Hey, Joe, look at his other prediction. Look at his other prediction.
Yeah, Joe. I love you, Joe. You're my boy, but again, Joe, listen, Joe.
This is a great prediction here.
My boy, but come on, man. I got Joe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look, and no, hold on. Let me. Can I speak on this, please? Just give me 1 second, and I'll be quiet. I gotta speak on this, Joe. We go way back. You're my boy. We support all the same teams, but sometimes, Joe, I love you. But sometimes I think you get a little bit left and when you should have gone right. You know, it's a left turning lane, not a right turning lane, and you go right. I just sometimes Joe, listen. Do you really? No, seriously, Joe. And I'm a Cowboys fan. Look. Here's Cowboys. That's Troy Aikman. Here's Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott. Look, at the end of the day, you know I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm also a realistic son of a bitch. Okay? I'm realistic, Joe. I'm realistic. And right now, we don't have the team to compete with the Washington Commanders or the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't have it, Joe. We don't. Stop. And when we don't have it, we got to keep trying to get it. But right now, Joe, we don't got it. I'm going to tell you that. On the same flip, Indianapolis don't got it either. Houston has it. Now, I do think that Indianapolis makes the wild card, but that's as far as I'm willing to say. Okay. And I think those are realistic observations. Joe, I love you, but Bubba, you've been smoking that crack cocaine or you've been drinking a little bit too much right now. Take it down.
I agree with Joe.
Button, and I'm going to be quiet. And I'm going to rescind.
I agree with Joe on not on Dallas.
Tony,
let me finish. Okay, I don't agree with Joe on Dallas winning the division. I do agree with him on the Eagles not winning the division. I think Washington wins the division. I do not think the Eagles do.
Okay.
Because
for a minute there, I swear to God, Tony, for a minute there,
I don't know about the Eagles finishing third. Maybe, but I think the Eagles are going to take a step back because they're going to have that Super Bowl hangover, and also they lost both their offensive and defensive coordinator. I think it's going to hurt them, and they've also lost some players. I know they'll get some players, but I think it's going to change up the team, and I don't think I think they probably make the playoffs, but I don't think they win the division.
I'm not going to respond to Joe just yet because I know Gonz. I want to give the opportunity. Is there anything you wanted to say on that before I respond to Joe real quick?
Other than I don't think him having the Colts beat ahead of Houston is that far fetched at all. I can see that happening.
Hey, watch this. And they call Dallas fans delusional, but okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, literally. No, listen.
Oh, I think
Dude, I'm telling you, he's a bigger Houston Texan fan than he is a goddamn Cowboys fan.
Okay, Frankie. Hold on. Hey, Frankie, I knew
Is
you were
there-
on the show. I didn't know.
there's more of a chance of the Colts winning the division than there is Dallas winning the division.
No.
You think Dallas has a better chance of winning the division than the Colts have winning their division?
No, hold on. Let me say it like this. This is just I can't say that. You're right. I mean, I know, Tony, watch this. I know you are. I know what you're saying. And yes, you probably do. I'm just saying that we have a legitimate, not elite, but we have a legitimate quarterback to get us where we got to go. You guys don't have a legitimate quarterback. And I think you know that. If you had a legitimate quarterback, there wouldn't be a quarterback competition. Right? Nobody has a quarterback competition and says, I got a legitimate quarterback. No, that don't happen like that. That's the only thing I have a hard time with when it comes to the Colts versus Dallas. But I also understand where you sit in your division.
You're in a tough division.
And there's no way, but I will say this, there's no way in hell. And I promise you, and if y'all want to put a wager on this, I will say it on air. I will put any kind of money you want to put on this. There's no way in hell with a quarterback competition going up against a solidified quarterback, and you think you're going to win that division. If you want to put that bet down on air, I will put that bet down. And it can be for whatever denomination you want it to be.
So CJ Stroud.
Do you want to take that bet? Hold on. Is anyone of you want to take that bet?
What we betting?
Whatever denomination you feel comfortable with.
Your house.
Son of a bitch. Look at his face. Look at his face.
You're an asshole.
Melanie, after the season, he tells Melanie, I lost the house.
I tell you what.
Can you imagine that conversation?
Hold on, I'll tell you what. Hold on. I'm thinking about this for a minute because he said my house. And I'm thinking, what could be worse than taking? All right, you have to take on my stepdaughter, her unborn child, and support them for the next 18 years. And yes, I'll put up my house.
That's a lose-lose.
Hey, I'm just saying. And let's be honest. It's really gonna be more than 18 years because ain't no child ever left at 18 years of age. So I'm just saying, do you want to put that up, Gonzo? And you know, I mean, hey, you might want to talk to Tony because Tony's gonna be part of that too. Tony Gonzo, that sounds like a cumulative bet there.
I don't think I'll be alive that long.
Hold on, I'll tell you right now. It's gonna take a whole lot of Uber Eats to fucking fill that shit. I wouldn't even take that fucking bet. Do you want to take it?
I would know. I ain't taking a bet. I would have.
But listen, if we do take that bet, I need your address so I know where to send her.
But I would have loved that conversation.
Hey, the good thing is she's half Hispanic, half white. Okay. She'll fit right in the family.
If the coach was to win that division, you go into the mountains.
Hey, did you laugh on that when I said she fit in the family? That's just
I heard
shit right there.
He said, he tells Melanie, I got some news for you. He said, I lost the house.
Hey, apparently Gus is moving in next week. We got about 3 days to get the fuck out.
There'd be a fresh grave out there in the backyard. We'd never see Jay again.
Well, I tell you what, listen, man, not grave my ass. She just took me out there, put me in the fire pit and burn that shit. What are you talking? Alive. I don't even think dead. It'd be alive in the fire pit burning up. But no, seriously, guys, look, seriously.
I give Joe some credit, man. He's a Dallas fan. Joe's a fan, man.
No, and Joe is a fan, but that doesn't mean I'm not a fan. Damn, just because I have more realistic. I understand what you're saying, Jay. He says Ray, but I know it's Jay. I understand what you're saying, Jay. But last year we had
Ray's a good name.
Injuries. Okay, Joe, I get it. We had injuries. I get it. But Joe, put us at full strength. We just lost D-Law. Not that D-Law was a big help. Because let's be honest, Joe, D-Law only had 3.5, maybe 4 sacks last season. So it's not like D-Law was a big, huge help. Our biggest help was on the other side of Micah Parsons. Let's be honest. Look at the defense. Look at the offense. Look, we got to work with. We don't have a true wide receiver 2. We got a bunch of scrubs filling in at wide receiver 2 with a true wide receiver 1 at CeeDee Lamb. And we do have a good tight end, though. I'll give you that. We have a good tight end at Ferguson. But now, who's our running back? Really? Who's our Williams? Really? That's who you want to roll with? What? Or Sanders out of Carolina that hasn't been relevant since probably back to what's that one? Back to school? Not the back to school, but what one with Michael J. Fox? You know what I'm talking about.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future was more relevant than our running game after Dowdle left. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is, Joe. I know my Cowboys team as well as you know it. The difference is I think you're holding out hope, and I understand where the hell we are. Come on, man. Our offensive line, we just lost Martin to retirement. Frederick gone. Our most experienced offensive lineman is Steele. Steele. Let that marinate for a minute. The time to be alive. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's regress. Joe, you got me all worked up. He said after the draft, I can give you a better. After the draft, who the hell are we getting at 12? That's going to automatically make you think that we got a championship shot, Joe. No, seriously. Who are they going to draft at 12 that's going to change your formidified opinion? Really? I'll tell you what, Joe. Hold that thought. Let me ask my co-host their opinions. Gonzo, you go first. Tony, you wrap it up. Who could the Dallas Cowboys possibly draft at 12 that's going to change your opinion about where we'll finish? Gonzo?
I don't know if it would change my opinion, but if they could get the running back from Boise State.
We got the order wrong, but we're going to roll with this anyway because he's old.
Yeah,
Tony?
If we get the running back from Boise State, I think that would be a big get. I don't know if he's going to be there, but I think that would be a big help.
I don't think Genty is there.
I don't think he's there either. But at one point, a lot of people thought Dallas was going to get him, but I think he's going to move up. But I think that would be a big help if you could get him. And I do think you guys are going to get a good running back in the draft, though. I think.
But here's the thing. Hold on, Tony. Here's the thing. I agree. I think Genty goes in the top 10. I don't think Genty gets out of the top 10. So then who do we go to after that? We go to Judson. Yep. You're right. Out of Ohio State, yes. Judson or whatever his name is. I think that's the next best opportunity. But do you think the Cowboys take Judson at 12? I don't think they do. And I don't think Judson, I think the Cowboys draft at mid-level or they'll be the 12th pick in the second round. And I don't think Judson's going to last to the 12th pick in the second round. So then where do we go after that? I just don't see it. I don't see it, you know?
It is a pretty strong running back draft, but I get what you're saying.
I just think for the Cowboys to get a running back in this draft, it's going to take a hell of a lot of hope and prayer.
I think if Dallas finishes second in their division and could make the playoffs, that would be a very, very good season for them.
It would be. If they finish second in their division, I'd be clapping and singing hallelujah. Gonzo?
What was the question?
Hey, no, shit. Hey, Tony, come back, Tony. Tony, write yourself. Tony, be professional. Write yourself.
I forgot. I was listening to you guys talking. I forgot what the pitch was.
Hold on, God. Real quick. Tony, I'm going to go back to Tony real quick. Tony, when Gonzo said, what's the question? You know what I thought about? You know what came to my mind first when he said, what's the question? I went back to the School when Rodney Dangerfield said, 4?
Yeah.
4? Okay, I apologize. I had to. That's when Gonzo said that.
Okay, who the Cowboys could draft to make them better?
Who could the Cowboys draft that would make you think that they would make first or second in the division, or first in the division, or a wild card?
A new owner.
You ain't wrong there, but that ain't gonna happen. So let's
No,
stay
but-
with reality.
But to what you guys were saying, you were saying that you think Genty will be gone, and you don't think they'll take Judkins at 12. If they don't, if they don't take Judkins at 12, to me that tells me they wouldn't going to take Genty if he was at 12. Because I don't think there's that. I don't think there's that much of a drop. I don't think there's that much of a drop off between them two running backs.
In my mind,
Do you think they're going? You think they're going offensive line?
I felt like if they were going to get Genty, or if Genty wasn't available at 12, that the Cowboys would go best available, and best available might be hopefully an offensive lineman. Because here's the deal: the Cowboys got two issues. We still got to work on our work on our offensive line, but we also need a running back. So, but we also need a defensive end to complement the other side of Micah Parsons, because we lost D-Law. Like the Cowboys got some serious areas of contention that need to be filled on a multiple fronts. So I don't know, do they go Judkins or do they go best available at that spot? Which is why I think we'll put them out of the running for Judkins, because I think best available is going to be either defensive end or it's going to be offensive lineman.
I just looked at the NFL and their rankings for running backs, and I'm shocked. Of course, they had Genty first. They had the other running back from Ohio State, Trevion Henderson, second. Third, they've got Cam Scabito from Arizona State.
Yeah.
Fourth, they have Judkins. I'll just go one more. 5, Gideons from Kansas State.
I don't think Sketabo is better than Judkins. I'll be honest with you. I think Judkins is better than Sketabo. So I would move Sketabo up and put Sketabo back one.
I do think you could get Sketabo in the second round.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally. Matter of fact, because Sketabo out of because he was with Arizona, and I remember watching him when Texas played Arizona, and I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was great. I didn't think he was super spectacular, but I thought he was a good running back. Not great, not spectacular, but good. I felt like he's a good running back, and that's why I still put Judkins, and I put Judkins ahead of him. I just do. I think what he did with Ohio, and I watched that Ohio-Texas game, and I watched what Sketabo did, what Judkins did, and I felt like Judkins was just a better guy out of the two.
Yeah, Judkins had over 1,000 yards, had 1,060, but the other running back for Ohio State had 1,016. So the limited carries. So what could either one of them guys done with more carries? Because they were splitting carries, and they both got over 1,000 yards for Ohio State.
I think at that level, you almost got to look at what they do at the receiving level to see which one is, because 1,060, 1,016, really, what the hell is that? I mean, that's almost apple for apple. At that point, I would be looking at the receiving and which one did better at the receiving, which one could be the better pass catcher or the more versatile back.
They're saying Henderson. They're saying Henderson's a little bit better pass catcher, and he's also his speed is 4.43 in the 40-yard dash, and his speed really jumps off, and he can make probably bigger, longer running plays. That's why they've got him over Judkins.
I think the takeaway from this part of the conversation is, even after Genty, there's probably 2 or 3 running backs that they would have a shot at, whether it be Henderson, Sketabo, or it be Judkins. I mean, you got 3 options that you would have a good shot at that I think would be better. Let's put it, if I'm Dallas, one of those 3 options is better than what I currently have on staff. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
So I think if I'm Dallas, I got to be honest with you. If I'm Dallas, if Jenkins isn't there at 12, I'm going to go probably either offensive line or defensive line. I'm going to work on my trenches and then come back in the second round and take one of those 3 running backs that's available.
Yeah.
I think that if I was that guy, that's the way I would look at that. I don't know. That's just me.
Nope, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. Was there anything? Oh, hold on. Before we get out of here, let me hold on. There was one other thing I want to talk about. Let me go to Bleacher Report because there's one other comment or hold on. There's one thing I wanted to look at real quick. Oh, Jordan Montgomery. That's what I wanted to pick out. Jordan Montgomery is having Tommy John, so he's out for the season now. I did want to kind of point that out. And the Mariners extend catcher for $105 million. But really, it was just that Jordan Montgomery is having Tommy John, so I think he's out for the season. And I think he is with the Diamondbacks. So if you're a Diamondbacks guy and you were counting on Jordan Montgomery to be a part of your starting rotation, guess what? It's not going to happen. He's out for a season and a half at most. If he's lucky, unless he's like a Luis Garcia, which has had some setbacks with some elbow soreness and shut down, which is an unfortunate side effect of Tommy John. It is what it is. But, yeah, so I just want to point out Diamondback starter Jordan Montgomery has season-ending Tommy John surgery. That was what I wanted to point out. It is what it is on the National League side. I think the Reds, what do you guys think about Jordan Montgomery having Tommy John and being out?
Man, that sucks. For any player, I don't see any player get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it ain't gonna affect us that much. It does suck that he got hurt, but I guess on the bright side is a lot of these guys come back better after the surgery nowadays.
Yeah.
Tommy John's not a death sentence like it used to be, so that's a good thing.
Do you have any idea who's going to be our closer? They put our closer on the DL, which I don't think he was going to be the closer anyway because they haven't been pitching very well. You think it's just going to be by committee?
I'd have to look at the roster. I haven't looked to see. Man, I'm trying to think of the guy's name we used last year quite a bit when Diaz wasn't.
I don't remember.
I was trying to see who.
Mole.
That sounds, yeah.
Mole pitched pretty good for us last year. I could see them using him some.
Joe asked the question, what I thought about the Rockets game tonight. I hadn't even got that far in the world yet. I think we play the Heat. No, we play the Hawks. That's right. We played Logan's team tonight. On all honesty, here's the thing. We should win that game. We're fully healthy. We don't have any injuries that are pertinent, injuries that should affect it. So, in all honesty, if we're the number 2 seed in the West, we should be able to beat the Hawks. We should be able to beat the Hawks. So, Joe, my prediction is we should be able to beat the Hawks. That's what I'm saying. We should beat the Hawks. And if we don't beat the Hawks, then that really kind of puts what Frankie was saying yesterday, or what he was alluding to yesterday, as we can beat the trash teams, but not the halfway good teams or better teams. So I would say that we're going to win tonight's game because we are fully healthy and we should win tonight. And if we don't win tonight, then, Joe, we really got to think about where this Houston team is and where we're going. Now, I've said to you, Joe, and I'm going to continue to say this, that the Rockets are trending the way we're supposed to be trending. Like I said, you go back to James Harden, when we kind of gutted it out for picks. Well, this is where we are now. We're the rebuild is done. The rebuild, let's be honest, the rebuild is done. And now we're gathering up experience to get to where we need to go. I don't expect the Rockets to win an NBA championship this year. I just don't. If we did, I would be shocked. I would be happy.
Let me ask you, Jay, but don't you think if they get the second spot, don't you think they at least should win the first playoff round?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
No. Let me be clear in what I'm saying. I expect the Rockets to be in the Western Conference Finals. I really honestly do. I'm gonna go on a limb, and I'm gonna say I expect the Rockets to be in the Western Conference Finals. I just don't expect us to win the Western, because I think OKC is just OKC, and that Shane Alexander guy is on another level. That team's on another level right now. And I just don't think we have enough experience. I think we need more coaching to really get us to that next level. And I think we're on our way there. But no, I expect us to win the Western Conference Finals? I do not. But I do expect, at the very least, I expect the Rockets to be in the Western Conference Finals.
Who would scare you more?
The Rockets to beat the Hawks tonight.
Who would scare you more, the Lakers or Nuggets?
Nuggets.
I agree with that.
And I put that on experience, and I put that on momentum, and again, now Joker's got to get back to where Joker was, because Joker sat out, I think, last game or game before last with an injury. So I don't know where he's at on that injury.
He played last night, but his defense was horrible last night.
Yeah, but in all honesty, the Lakers come off of a loss to Chicago Bulls, which was horrifying. If I'm a Lakers fan, it was embarrassing. It was an embarrassing loss.
They lost to the Magic last night.
And then you take another loss. Look, here's the thing. You got a fully loaded roster of Luka and Bron. The problem is, and Tony, I'm going to keep saying this until the day I die, their bench is what's going to hurt the Lakers. It's always going to hurt the Lakers. They don't have a strong enough bench. The Rockets have a really good bench, which is why I was trying to tell Frank why I think the Rockets are better than the Lakers, because our bench is better than the Lakers. Our bench, Whitmore and Tate, on average, score at least 10 or more points off the bench every night. That's 20 or more points you're getting every single night off the Rockets bench, which we don't see that from the Lakers.
See, that's what I like about the Pacers.
The Lakers because of that.
That's what I like about it. Yeah, that's what I like about the Pacers. They have 10 players on the team that play at least 10 minutes or more.
Yeah. And I got to tell you guys, the Pacers are really a good fucking team. I know where you are in the standings. Does it reflect that?
Well, does it reflect that? We're only 2 games from being in third.
Calm down, killer. Calm down. Well, I'll tell you what, you like Pablo over there, man.
His team is second. He acts like they're the greatest team ever. We're 2 games down third, and we're trash.
Gonzo, look at me, killer. Bring it back. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to rectify that comment. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just saying, if you were a casual fan looking at the standings and seeing the Pacers in fourth, it doesn't dictate where they are as a team. You're right. You're 2 games back. If you look at the Western Conference, hell, the 6th seed all the way up to the 2 seed is a 3-game difference. And we still got over 10 games left to be played, and the conference gets hard. So all I'm saying is the Pacers, where they are at 4, is an indicator of where they are current or where they're going to be at the end of it all. So give me a little bit of love, Gonzo. Damn, I saw that little fucking vein out the side of your fucking forehead. Damn, give me a little bit of love. Shit. Damn, you almost have me twitching over here and shit. I was about to tell you that the Pacers, and I really feel like, no, seriously, I truly believe this. I know the Pacers beat the Rockets the last go around, but we weren't fully healthy then. I really believe a fully healthy Pacers and a fully healthy Rockets, in my opinion, is status quo. I think they're honestly even teams. When fully healthy, I believe both are even teams in their respective conferences. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't expect the Pacers to win their conference. I don't expect the Rockets to win their conference. At the end of the day, I still feel like, and I'm going to continue to feel like until the record proves me different or their games prove me different, that this is still a Cleveland OKC battle in the making. Not to say that Boston can't creep up in there. But
Cleveland's warned me a little bit because they've lost like 3 or 4 games in a row. They're not playing well right now. I'm not saying they can't rectify that. I think they won their last game, but I think they did lose 3 in a row. Not right now. It's not the team. Right now is not the time to start playing bad. You're getting towards the end of the season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like anything else, like you got to be riding that momentum going.
And one of Boston's players got injured last night.
Tatum messed up his ankle. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, Tony, because that was another thing I want to talk about. Tatum messed up his ankle. I don't know how long Tatum's going to be out for.
From what they
did have an ankle sprain.
From what they said, it was just sore, and they were going to be cautious with it. So they didn't think it didn't sound like it was super serious.
That's interesting. No, seriously, I got to tell you, the strongest team in the West right now is OKC. Bar none. Strongest team is the West is OKC. You can say Lakers, Denver, Houston, Memphis will be battling out for that number 2 spot.
1, 2.
I think on the East Coast, I still believe Cleveland is that guy. I think Boston is obviously defending champs, so they're still the guy.
I give Boston the advantage.
But I do believe the Pacers. But I do believe the Pacers can be that guy and get to that level. I really do. I still feel like the Pacers can get to that level, but it's going to take a whole lot for them to really overcome a lot of adversity. But I think the Pacers can be there.
Yeah, but I think I like Boston better than Cleveland right now just because of the experience.
Oh, for sure.
Just that experience. Even though I think Cleveland is a real good team, and if they can get back to playing the way they were, they're a dangerous team. The Knicks have been having some troubles, even though there's still a couple games ahead of us.
Now Brunson, I'm saying on the Knicks side of it, Brunson is expected to be back in a week. I don't know what that's going to do for them in terms of the standings, but he is expected to be back in a week.
That definitely helps.
But I don't know if it's going to be enough. I got to be honest with you, Tony. Even if Brunson comes back at full health, I still feel like, and this is going to be crazy, but I feel like the Pacers are still a better team than the Knicks.
I think we can be. I tell you what scares me is that we could end up 4 seed and first round have to play Milwaukee. Milwaukee's still a dangerous team, even at a 5th seed. Yeah. They're still a dangerous team. You got that star on their team. He can take over a game, so they worry me. We did beat them last year. They did have some injuries. We had some injuries too, but that's a tough first round game, Milwaukee. First round playoff. Yeah.
I think you guys are. I think the Pacers and the Rockets are similar in terms of circumstances in so many ways. I think the Rockets had their work cut out for them to see how far they're going to go. But I also believe the Pacers have their work cut out for them as far as they're going to go. And a lot of it's going to depend on a lot of things. But to say that the Pacers and the Rockets can't get to the Eastern and Western conferences respectively, it can happen.
Oh, I think
it can absolutely happen.
I agree with you.
Which I think for Pacerville, I correct me if I'm wrong, Tony and Gonzo, but I mean, have you guys been to the Eastern Conference Finals outside of Reggie Miller?
We were there last year.
Was it last? Wait, you were in the wait, hold on. You were in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Golly, am I that far behind? You guys were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year?
Yeah, we lost
to Boston.
Yeah, we lost to Boston.
And then Halliburton got hurt. And I'm not saying we still would have won the series, but Halliburton got hurt. He missed 3.5 games.
And we didn't have Mathurin either. We wasn't 100% healthy last year and still made it to Eastern Conference Finals.
We got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals. But again, Halliburton got hurt the first game, so that didn't help any.
But one thing I was going to add real quick, the Pacers are 9th in the league in bench scoring at 38 points a game. The Rockets are 17th in the league at bench scoring at 31.3 points a game.
Who's one?
One is let's see, Jazz is at 41.
They got the starters.
The Spurs is one at 43.9 points per game from the bench.
I didn't realize that. Joe,
the Hawks are number 2 with 43 points off their bench per game. Or actually, I lied. The Warriors are number 1 at 44 points a game off the bench.
Guys, you don't know how important that is. That bench scoring is freaking huge, man.
It is. I agree with you, Jay. But you see, where like Utah and Atlanta, who's not super strong. I think Atlanta could make the playoffs. Utah, I don't think it's going to. But they don't have. They're not very good in the starting lineup, so the bench is doing a lot of scoring. So I agree with you. The bench is
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have a good bench team,
yeah.
Look, we all know that Phoenix is a classic example. Classic of starting 5 great, bench horrible, and look where they are. They're out of the playoffs right now. Currently, Dallas slipped back up into the play-in, and now Phoenix is out of the play-in. So that's going to be a battle right there. But you can see we're not having a good bench.
Jay, you say that, but the Suns actually score more points off the bench per game than what the Rockets do.
Shut up.
but
but
No, I'm
But-
kidding. I'm
only
kidding
by-
with you,
no,
but
let me
yeah.
finish because it's only by 2 points. But it also
Yeah.
goes to
Hold on, but I do
How
got to
many
stand
minutes?
corrected. I just looked it up. I actually misspoke. Phoenix is in the 10th spot. Dallas was in the 10th spot, but now Dallas is back. But they had the same damn record at 35 and 37 anyway.
yeah.
Dallas is getting what's his name back too, though.
Yeah, Anthony Davis should be
Yeah.
coming back here pretty soon. I would expect Dallas, once they get Anthony Davis back, if he continues to play, could make that final play-in spot, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But Joe, yeah, you're right. So right now, currently, Houston is at 13 and a half games back, and Denver is 15 games back. So that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a game and a half
Yeah.
that Houston has over Denver, and the Lakers are 16 and Memphis is 16 games back respectively, and that's 1 through 5. So all I'm saying is, yeah, you're right. We're a game and a half to 2.5 games back between first and fifth, somewhere in the neighborhood. All I'm saying is, Joe, remember this: the Rockets have a very hard schedule
They do.
between now and the end, and a lot of things can change. Again, we got to play in LA twice before this is all done. Once in March towards the end, I think the March 31st and April the 11th, we play the Lakers twice in LA, and that's going to be a very tough venue to play these guys, and everybody's trying to fight for that spotting. So I'm just saying, we have a very hard hill to climb. Where we finish, I don't know, but I still think the Rockets can get to the Western Conference Finals.
I think they got a chance.
What a time to be alive. Glenn comes in and says Pacers are better than what they were a year ago. I think we already talked about that. I think we all agree that they're better than they were a year ago. Big Glenn says, yup, got swept by Boston and got eliminated on the day Bill Walton died. Damn. And lastly, Big Glenn says, it was Memorial Day. I flew back from Charlotte. Coke 600 race to have just enough time to make game 4. What a time to be like. Glenn, you are the consummate person that makes every single thing happen. I don't know how you do it. I don't know where you get the money. Your lifestyle is one that I admire, that I cherish, and that I want to be. Glad I just want to be you, Glenn. Anyway, having said all that, that's all I had left to say. Other than, please, for the love of God, give us a subscribe to Gonzo's Sports Room, Gonzo's Wrestling Room. They put out good content when Gonzo can compose himself. They put out great content over there. I think you guys are going to be happily surprised with what you see. If you're new to the area, give Gonzo Sports Room a like and subscribe, and give ESPN a subscribe if you enjoyed the content today. I think it was better than yesterday. Give us a subscribe, and I don't think you'll be disappointed there either. With that, I turn the mic back over to you guys. Get us out of here.
All right. I said he sounded like Jonathan Mathis. The sports judge always wanted to be somebody, wishing he was somebody else.
Oh God.
But we appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Afternoon show, we own the night. Champions scream under the light. Precious
This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
light. Heroes fall and legends rise. Twist of fate in our eyes. Heads held high, never compromise. On
What can I say?
stage where